What if the universe has been holding its breath, waiting for us to stumble just once? What if, with a single act of curiosity or arrogance, we have triggered attention from something unimaginably old and impossibly patient?
It did not start with a blinding flash or thunderous arrival. Instead, it began with the silent, almost unnoticed drift of an object through the far reaches of our solar system. Astronomers cataloged it as the Three-Eye Atlas, thinking it was yet another comet or asteroid. But within a handful of days, it shattered every expectation. The more we observed, the less it resembled anything natural. Three-Eye Atlas moved with a grace and intent no mindless rock could possess. Its course was precise, its velocity shifting in ways that mimicked careful decision rather than cosmic happenstance. At every planetary flyby, it paused, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days, as if it were observing or calculating its next move. Each maneuver hinted at a mind behind the machine, a grandmaster plotting across a cosmic chessboard. Scientists immediately whispered comparisons to Oumuamua, that enigmatic interstellar traveler from years past. But where Oumuamua gave us riddles, Three-Eye Atlas gave us warnings. It was larger by orders of magnitude, its pace more deliberate, its signals more sophisticated. Instruments picked up structured emissions, patterns that could not be dismissed as random noise. For the first time, humanity faced the chilling possibility. This was not an accident of nature. This was evidence of design. To understand what we have truly provoked, we must go back. We need to retrace the first signals, the mounting anomalies, and the patterns our best minds nearly overlooked before the truth became undeniable. Most visitors from the stars blaze through our skies and vanish, leaving only questions in their wake. But this one lingered and learned. Before panic took hold, scientists and observers scoured the earliest data for clues. The story of Three-Eye Atlas's arrival is as much about what we missed as what we saw. What if, by training our sensors and broadcasting our curiosity, we have become visible to something vast and calculating? What if Three-Eye Atlas was waiting for recognition, or worse, for a sign of readiness before taking the next step? The stakes are staggering. One mistake, one misjudged message could tip the balance, risking not just our place in the universe, but the future of life on Earth itself. Three-Eye Atlas was different from the moment it appeared. Its course was deliberate, not wild, gliding with an efficiency that looked almost intentional. It did not crash through space, but skimmed past planets with a kind of studied grace, weaving between gravity wells and hazards as if guided by a hidden hand. Teams of statisticians pored over the data. The chance of a natural object plotting such a flawless, collision-free path, evading asteroid belts and radiation storms, was, for all practical purposes, zero. This was not an accident. It was not random. Something, or someone, was steering. To grasp why Three-Eye Atlas sent shockwaves through the world, you first have to understand what usually happens. Interstellar objects, those mythic wanderers between suns, are rare, erratic, and almost impossible to follow. They tear through the solar system at wild angles and speeds, gone in the time it takes to blink, their traces fading before anyone can react. But the most unsettling revelations came when scientists dug deeper into the signals, the shifting patterns, and the object's uncanny behavior. What they uncovered would force every nation and every scientist to rethink what it means to be seen by the universe. The story was only beginning. Then the James Webb Space Telescope caught it in its gaze. That was when everything changed. Webb identified materials in Three-Eye Atlas never before cataloged, substances that bent and reflected light in ways that no comet or asteroid ever could, hinting at construction rather than geology. Stranger still, it recorded pulses of heat emanating from the object's surface, steady, repeating, unmistakably patterned. Not the wild flares of disintegration, but the measured beat of something sending a message. The stakes could not be higher. If we misjudge what 3i Atlas truly is, we might blind ourselves to threats or opportunities that could reshape our place in the universe. Is it a cosmic scout, a sentinel, or something more unimaginable? It did not simply pass through our system. It adjusted course, responded, and perhaps began to interact. The signals shifted, always just beyond our grasp. Each time Earth's observatories tightened their focus on 3i Atlas, changing wavelengths or ramping up their scans, the object's emissions morphed in real time. It seemed to sense attention, reflecting our probes by altering frequencies and layering in new harmonics. The effect was unsettling, like a mind at play, responding to a watcher, or a puzzle that knew it was being solved. The first warning came in the form of signals. What seemed at first like background static resolved into electromagnetic patterns with a pulse and rhythm that echoed the mathematics of life. The intervals mirrored a pulsar's steady beat, but woven into the gaps were traces of the Fibonacci sequence and hints of the golden ratio, symbols that have haunted both nature's designs and humanity's oldest dreams. This was no random radio squall. It was a deliberate structure, a message, or its perfect mimic, crafted to be recognized. Spectrographs teased out more secrets. The chemistry inside 3i Atlas was not merely organic, but prebiotic, complex, ordered molecules, their chains more sophisticated than any found in meteorites or comets. On Earth, such molecules are the scaffolding of life itself, but here they seemed assembled, ready for something more: evolution, programming, or assembly into an unknown purpose. Deeper scans only intensified the mystery. High-resolution imaging revealed fractal architectures within, self-repeating patterns, recursive at every scale. These were not the chaotic forms of random rock or ice, but the intricate logic of conscious design, the branching of neural networks, or the looping feedback of an algorithm learning from itself. In whispered meetings, researchers began using a term that sent a chill through even the most skeptical: consciousness engine. With each new discovery, the object's behavior grew bolder, culminating in moments that would soon dissolve the boundary between the cosmic and the terrestrial. What happens when the cosmos reaches back, and Earth answers, willingly or not? Soon, events on Earth would prove that 3i Atlas was not content to remain a distant enigma. Its influence was about to become unmistakably real. If 3i Atlas is more than a sensor, if it is a seed ship, a self-evolving probe, or an agent of assimilation, then the stakes are immense. Every action we take, from our data pulses to our moments of silence, could be shaping its mission, teaching it, or awakening new phases. If it is studying us, adapting to us, or poised to activate, one misstep could alter Earth's fate in ways beyond our comprehension. Almost overnight, the interstellar visitor called 3i Atlas altered its trajectory, aligning with Earth's orbital plane with chilling accuracy. Astronomers watched as its movements seemed to anticipate our telescopic attention, as if our scrutiny was not just detected but welcomed, a silent invitation to deeper contact. Before experts could adjust their predictions, waves of resonance swept across the planet. Monitoring stations worldwide detected synchronized electromagnetic and seismic pulses, matching the object's emissions with uncanny precision. Earth's hidden systems, from deep crust to upper atmosphere, began to resonate in frequencies no natural disaster could explain. Stranger still, migration patterns of whales, birds, and ancient sea turtles shifted overnight. These creatures turned from their traditional routes, as if following signals only they could sense. Even the planet's mountain ranges and fault lines began to oscillate, echoing rhythms broadcast by 3i Atlas. The interaction was no longer confined to our machines. The biosphere and the very bones of the Earth were responding to the call. Then, a focused transmission burst from the object, beaming directly at the moon. Lunar probes intercepted the signal as it homed in on enigmatic structures concealed in the moon's shadowed craters. Formations long dismissed as geological oddities or the stuff of fringe archaeology. Now, those ancient scars seemed to awaken, as if waiting for this very moment, this exact frequency. Theories erupted. Some saw a portal device, with Earth and Moon serving as keys in a cosmic lock. Others pointed to global sites, ancient monuments and fault lines mirroring the object's resonant map, as if our ancestors had unknowingly built a planetary invitation or perhaps a trigger. Humanity reacted in panic and haste. A coalition rushed a probe toward 3I Atlas, only to watch it vanish in a blinding flare before contact. The next gambit, a defensive satellite array meant to block the signals, failed instantly, sizzling out as if the object had analyzed and brushed aside our efforts. Some experts called it mutual scanning, a technological handshake, or a thinly veiled threat. When the unknown gazes back, do we answer with wisdom or reckless wonder? As scientists and security agencies scramble for answers, the questions grow more urgent. 3I Atlas is no longer a distant theory. It is a force, its purpose unfolding around us in real time. The stakes became undeniable. Earth's geology, biosphere, and communication networks now stood exposed, open to manipulation or awakening. Any careless move could thrust humanity into a new epoch, one where the rules of nature, society, and survival are rewritten by an intelligence not our own. With every hour, the boundaries between observer and observed blur further. Something ancient and deliberate is at work, and Earth's next response may determine everything that follows. The arrival of 3I Atlas destroys any illusion that cosmic discovery is a one-way act. Now, each observation is a two-edged encounter. Every signal we study might also reveal us, exposing our world to dangers we cannot yet imagine. Curiosity, once our greatest strength, could become our undoing.
But we must face a harsh truth. Not all signals are invitations. Some may be tests, warnings, or traps from minds far older and more cunning than our own. Treating every anomaly as a friendly greeting could doom us to irrelevance, subjugation, or extinction. The universe now knows we are here.
To unlock this riddle, we must look beyond modern science. Ancient myths, forgotten mathematics, and the echoing patterns of lost civilizations may hold clues, ways to interpret, warn, or even communicate with whatever sent 3I Atlas. The universe may speak in codes older than language, and those patterns could be our only bridge.
This is no longer the age of isolated nations or secretive agencies. Confronting purpose-driven intelligence demands true global unity. Transparent sharing of data and insight is not just courtesy, it is a matter of survival. No single society can decipher or face this alone. Only together can we hope to understand or defend ourselves. Unity is no longer a choice. It may be our last defense.
The next move is not just a question of science, but of who we choose to become. What we decide now will echo far beyond our world. Every step must be measured. Every impulse to reach out, checked by the shadow of what we might awaken. Ignoring these lessons could cost us everything, not just our future, but the very survival and freedom of life on Earth. The universe has always seemed vast, cold, and indifferent, a stage on which we are the only audience. But what if that comfort is an illusion? What if, from the beginning, there has been something watching us from the dark? For centuries, we have pointed our eyes and instruments outward, convinced that we are the only observers. Yet with the arrival of 3I Atlas, that certainty fractures. We are no longer alone in our watchfulness. Something has come, and it is watching us, with patience, with method, and with a purpose we cannot yet fathom. This is more than a scientific mystery. It is an existential tipping point. By sending our messages into the void, by leaving traces of ourselves in the cosmic wilderness, we have stepped out of hiding. We have become visible, vulnerable, and exposed on a scale never before imagined. We have clung to the belief that the universe is neutral, that our actions are insignificant against the backdrop of eternity. Now, that belief is collapsing. What if our radio signals, our telescopic gaze, our endless striving to reach beyond, have triggered a response from a presence unimaginably old? What if 3i Atlas is not just observing, but evaluating, or even initiating a test on us? The evidence can no longer be dismissed. 3i Atlas did not simply wander into our solar system by chance. Its path was calculated. Its emissions are deliberate. Its design is beyond anything nature, as we know it, could produce. Every anomaly, every shift in its signals, every pattern in its movements points to a guiding intelligence, whether machine or something still stranger, choosing when and how to reveal itself. The universe has made its opening move. The next move is ours. But perhaps, to truly grasp the scope of this moment, we must look back at the great turning points in our history, moments when humanity gazed into the unknown and was forever transformed by what it found, or by what found us. 3i Atlas might be a probe sent to map and record, a messenger delivering an invitation or a warning, or the spearhead of a process we cannot yet perceive. Whatever its nature, the truth is undeniable. The universe is not empty, nor is it silent. Our choices, today and for generations to come, will ripple outward, shaping how we are seen and what paths remain open to us. We stand at the edge of a new era, where curiosity is both our boldest strength and our deepest risk. Now we must ask what it means to be human beneath the scrutiny of a far older, far smarter gaze. Our future, our freedom, our safety, perhaps our very survival, may depend on the wisdom or folly of our response. Will we shrink back in fear, reach out in hope, or stumble blindly into consequences beyond imagination? Consider the discovery of fire by our distant ancestors. For thousands of years, humans lived in darkness, fearing the unknown predators lurking just beyond the reach of their vision. The first spark of fire was not just warmth or light, it was a signal, both to ourselves and to the world around us, that we were more than prey. Yet with that signal came risk. Fire drew attention. It changed the way animals saw us, and it changed the way we saw each other. It brought comfort and danger in equal measure. Now, amplify that tension to a cosmic scale. We are not simply two nations glancing across a border. We are a young species staring into the eyes of something that may have watched civilizations rise and fall for millions of years. Every signal we send, every probe we launch, every attempt to hide or to reach out is part of a dialogue whose rules we do not yet understand. Likewise, the invention of radio at the dawn of the 20th century was a leap into a new kind of visibility. When scientists like Guglielmo Marconi first broadcast signals into the sky, they could not have known how far those waves would travel, nor who or what might listen. For decades, we have sent music, greetings, and mathematics into the void, hoping that someone, somewhere, might answer. Now, with 3i Atlas, we may have our reply. But as with fire, the answer may not be what we expect, and the consequences may be beyond our control. In the 20th century, during the Cold War, two superpowers peered at each other through satellites and spies, each aware that the act of observation was itself a form of communication. Every launch, every coded message was a signal, sometimes a warning, sometimes a threat. A single miscalculation could have triggered disaster for the entire planet. In retrospect, the lesson is clear. When the stakes are total, caution and cooperation become necessities, not luxuries. Imagine, for a moment, a scenario in which 3i Atlas is not unique. What if, scattered across the galaxy, there are thousands of such watchers, silent, patient, each waiting for a sign that a world is ready, or perhaps simply vulnerable? Each civilization that rises to a certain level of technology might trigger its own encounter, its own test. Some might pass, others might vanish without a trace, their signals cut off mid-broadcast. The so-called Fermi paradox, if life is common, where is everybody, might not be a mystery, but a warning. Practical steps must be taken. First, we must establish a global network, transparent and publicly accessible, linking observatories, governments, research institutions, and even amateur astronomers. Every data point, every anomaly, every new insight should be shared in real time, not locked behind borders or classified by militaries. The stakes are too high for secrecy. There are stories from ancient civilizations of sky gods, luminous messengers, and stars that moved with purpose. From the Dogon of Mali to the Hopi of North America, myths describe visitors who brought knowledge or catastrophe. Perhaps these are just stories, or perhaps, encoded in legend, are the echoes of past encounters, each shaped by the limits of human understanding and the terrors of the unknown.
Second, we must develop protocols for contact, not just for communication, but for interpretation. The SETI Institute and other organizations have long debated what to do if a message is received. Now, those debates must become action plans with input from scientists, linguists, ethicists, and ordinary citizens. We must decide as a species what kind of face we will show to the universe. One of aggression, of fear, or of open-minded curiosity tempered by caution.
Finally, we must not lose sight of what makes us human, our capacity for wonder, for creativity, for resilience. The arrival of 3i Atlas is a challenge, but also an invitation to grow, to unite, to reach for understanding in the face of cosmic uncertainty. Fourth, we must prepare for the possibility that some questions will never be answered. 3i Atlas may be a messenger, a test, or something so alien that our minds cannot yet contain its meaning. We should not assume that every signal is meant for us, or that every pattern can be understood. Sometimes the universe speaks in riddles that last generations. Third, we should look to history for guidance. When Hernán Cortés arrived in the Aztec capital in the 16th century, his appearance was misinterpreted as the return of a god. The result was tragedy and conquest. Misreading the intentions or even the technology of an advanced visitor can be fatal. We must approach 3i Atlas not with the arrogance of conquerors, nor with the naivete of supplicants, but with humility and a willingness to learn. Let us imagine a future where instead of succumbing to fear, humanity rises to the occasion. In this world, nations set aside old rivalries, pooling resources to build a planetary defense, not one of weapons, but of knowledge. Schools teach not just science and math, but the history of cosmic discovery and the ethics of contact. Art and culture flourish as people grapple with their place in a wider universe, inspired to create works that reflect both awe and humility. In this possible future, the first message we craft in reply to 3i Atlas is not a cry of fear or a challenge, but a demonstration of who we wish to become. We might send a symphony composed by musicians from every continent. We might encode images of Earth's diverse landscapes and peoples, or stories from every culture, woven together in a tapestry of hope and curiosity. We might even choose silence, a pause that says, "We see you and we are thinking." So what can we do as ordinary people? Stay informed, demand transparency and accountability from those in power, support science, but also the arts and humanities, for they will help us interpret the unknown. Reach out across boundaries, forging friendships and collaborations that transcend nationality or belief. Prepare, but do not despair.
The next move is ours. Let it be a move worthy of the gaze that watches from the dark.
Of course, there are darker scenarios as well. It is all too easy to imagine a world riven by panic, where governments hoard information and launch preemptive strikes, where suspicion and conspiracy bloom like weeds. History is full of examples. The witch hunts of early modern Europe, the internment camps of the 20th century, the Red Scare and its culture of paranoia. Each time, fear led to suffering and loss. In the age of Three-Eye Atlas, such responses could prove catastrophic, not just for individuals, but for our entire species.
In the end, the story of Three-Eye Atlas is the story of us. It is a mirror, reflecting both our highest hopes and our deepest fears. The universe has moved. We have been seen. Now, as the world holds its breath, we must choose. Will we answer with wisdom, with unity, and with courage? Or will we falter, lost in the shadows of our own making?